Rat shit, bad shit, dirty old twat, 69 assholes tied in a knot, hooray, lizard shit, fuck!
It was a calm and misty night on the island of Sodor, and all of the engines were all packed inside the sheds, ready to sleep the night away. Just before everyone could get their good night's rest, the shed lights flickered. Everyone froze.
What was that?
James asked.
It's probably just the light bulbs, Gordon grumbled. They haven't been replaced in a while.
There is another explanation, Edward cued in, and all of the engines looked back at him.
Please don't tell me it has anything to do with ghosts,
Henry said. Edward chuckled. You know me all too well.
I'll take that as a yes, Gordon said groggily.
There isn't anything wrong with a little story, Percy said. It's almost autumn after all.
You go ahead and tell it then,
Henry yawned.
I need to sleep.
And so, Edward told his tale. Legend tells of a phantom that roams the mainland in the form of a breakdown crane. Little is known of its origins, but there have been many sightings that have been documented of its ghastly sight. Its very presence will chill any engine to the frames. It's described as awfully rusted and dented, and every movement it makes is followed with the sounds of strain and squeaking metal, with a face as pale as the moon. Most sightings are followed by the telltale signs of its presence, when the lights flicker, and a heavy fog crawls on the ground. The sounds of that weak and strained metal can be heard echoing in the distance, and its white glowing eyes can be seen through the fog. Whatever you do, you should never look into its eyes. If you're not careful, it will track you down and drag you away with its rusty hook into the fog, never to be seen again.
Edward, this story's utter nonsense, Gordon growled. These fairy tales shouldn't be told at such a time. We need to sleep. We have a very busy day tomorrow, and I won't be bothered by any of your dreadful stories. Good night.
Everyone regretfully agreed with Gordon, and quickly said their goodnights as they drifted off to sleep. But Thomas couldn't sleep. The story that Edward had told reminded him of the time he had used the breakdown train to help James after his first accident. He started to wonder on how different things could have been if James had been left in that field overnight, and it worried him deeply. As he was just about to finally doze off, he heard a noise. Clunk! And then there was another noise. Clink! Thomas was wide awake now, and he quickly looked around him. Nothing had moved in the sheds, and everything was now awfully quiet. He then started hearing another noise. It was a quiet rumble, like something was moving across the rails outside. Thomas looked to his left and suddenly froze in fear. The silhouette of a breakdown crane slowly crawled its way past the shed windows. An ominous glow followed it as it moved. The shadows of it seemed to dance and crawl across the walls, twisting and curling into ghastly fingers. the groaning sound got louder, and Thomas could swear he could see a face in the blinding glow. "It's the breakdown phantom!" Thomas cried.
What's going on?"
Henry yelped. All of the engines were now wide awake and glaring at the haunting sight that crawled past the shed windows.
"I think I looked it in the eye,"
James shrieked.
"It's gonna come for us,"
Duck cried. Percy was shivering, and he could barely say a word. Suddenly, a heavy wind blown its way from under the shed doors, causing them to rattle, giving everyone a fright. The doors continued to rattle, and the lights in the shed started flickering again. The engines were in an uproar. It was then that one of the shed doors slowly started to creak open. "Oh no!" Thomas cried as he quickly shut his eyes.
"What on earth is going on here?"
Thomas then opened his eyes. It was the Fat Controller, and all of the engine's drivers and firemen were crowded behind him.
"What is the cause of all this noise?"
said Sir Topham Hatt as he took off his nightcap.
"It's the ghost, sir," Percy said. "It's right there."
Sir Topham Hatt looked at the silhouette in the shed windows and just laughed. Now the engines were confused. "What's so funny?" they asked.
"That's no ghost,"
Sir Topham Hatt said.
"That's just Harvey trying to move the breakdown train."
Harvey soon came into view, his lamps illuminating his face. He gave a little toot to let the engines know he was there, and puffed away with the breakdown train. A lamp had been fastened onto the front face of the crane, which gave it an unexpected glow. All of the engines sighed with relief, but Sir Topham Hatt wasn't too happy.
"You have all disturbed my sleep, and I am not very pleased about it. It doesn't matter if it was because of a ghost or not. Making such a noise is going to cause some trouble."
The engines apologized and watched as he held the shed door open.
"Now please, get some sleep. You have some important jobs to do tomorrow."
Sir Topham shut the shed door and walked away with the rest of the drivers and firemen. All of the engines now sat in silence, waiting for someone to break the silence.
"Good night,"
Gordon mumbled, and with that, all of the engines slowly fell asleep.